What is going on, YouTube? We are here doing a Las Vegas Raiders mock draft 1.0, where we're really going to try to build and add to the talent of this Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, they have a lot of holes. We're not going to be able to fill everything, but the Raiders are going to have to address free agency post draft and anything that we weren't able to go out and find or accumulate via trades. They're going to have to address it in free agency. Now, I'm going to say that this mock draft is going to be very realistic. We're not going to go out here and make crazy trades and get 100 draft picks and get all the big names and just say that we did a great job. But we're going to try to be as realistic as possible and make real value trades and really put ourselves in a situation that we might really be looking at for the Las Vegas Raiders. And just to see what we can kind of come away with, we're going to talk about prospects that kind of intrigue me that either might go before us or after us, or they just weren't able to fall to us. But they're guys that I would definitely take if I was a Las Vegas Raiders, some underrated prospects that you guys might not have heard about, or to maybe even just put more of a spotlight on some player that you should go and watch some film on. You should go and break down and educate yourself on the depth and the talent and some hidden gems that are found in this draft that hopefully the Raiders can find. So without further ado, you guys, let's just jump straight into this mock draft. We see that Cam Ward goes number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. Shedeur goes to the Cleveland Browns. Travis Hunter goes to the Giants. Abdul Carter finds his way with the New England Patriots, and Mason Graham goes 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would say this is one of the more realistic top 5 picks that I've seen in a lot of mock drafts, so we're already off to a good start, leaving the Raiders with their pick of players on the board, and a lot of good talent has slid to them and fallen out of the top 5 for the Raiders to take. Now, the discussion is do we feel comfortable enough at sticking at picking at 6, or are we going to take a look at some trade offers? Right now, we actually have no trade offers currently on the board. Um, I do want to kind of see what we can get as far as value. Ashton Jeanty, let me just park the bus here for a second because we have to have a conversation about Ashton Jeanty and why people are so up in arms about this pick. And I do want to kind of explain it. And I'm not going to say that this is the direction that I would go. I'm not going to say that Ashton Jeanty is the pick at 6 for me, but I want you guys to kind of understand why the Raiders might actually be interested. We could all agree that this running back class is probably the deepest in recent history that we've seen, to be honest with you. With that being said, Ashton Jeanty is the 1A option among the deepest running back class. So you're getting a premier player. Now, where do your needs fall specifically for the Raiders? The Raiders clearly need wide receiver depth. They clearly need a cornerback to come into the system. They clearly need a linebacker, and they clearly need a runner. Now, the wide receivers in this class, they're not that great. They're not the Malik Neighbors. They're not the Brian Thomases of the world. We just don't have that in this draft. So am I going to overdraft a wide receiver at pick 6 who's really not as high talent-wise as, say, a player like Ashton Jeanty at his position? Same thing goes with a corner. Will Johnson is here on the board, and I would argue he's the best cover corner in this entire draft class. The problem with Will at 6 for me is his injury history. He also got hurt pre-draft going through the draft process. He's hurt again. So do you want to take a corner who has lower body injuries at pick 6? I've been burned on that a lot with the Raiders, to be completely honest with you, in times past. That makes me nervous. Kelvin Banks is a left tackle. You have Colton Miller. Do you really want to take a guy who might have to play left guard his first year in the NFL? I don't know. I don't think so. Will Campbell's on the board. He's a tackle. He has guard measurements, but you're going to give him an opportunity to start at right tackle, and if it fails, you're going to kick him inside. So he kind of falls in that same category as Kelvin Banks for me. So the discussion at pick 6 here about Ashton Jeanty is you're getting probably the second overall player in the draft at 6. You're getting a guy who is 1A option at his tier. Now he does have a lot of he has a lot of wear and tear on the tires. I understand that, but we're talking about as far as the talent perspective. I'm not gonna go with Ashton Jeanty here, but I wanted to make a case for why that conversation is being had for Ashton Jeanty at 6, because he is arguably the best player on the board and honestly probably the second best player in the draft, second to third best player in the draft. So to say that to take him at 6 is a reach, I don't know. It just depends on how the franchise values him. Where do they value the running back position as opposed to the wide receiver room or as opposed to the corner? Is corner and wide receiver valued higher for them on their big board than, say, the running back position? And are the players that are available at wide receiver and corner where you're at pick 6, does their value necessarily align with that pick? I don't know that it does. So right now, you guys, we're actually going to make a trade. We're going to trade back. And we have the Jets on the board here who needs a wide receiver, defensive line. We're going to see if we can't get to... Let's see if we can't get anywhere from the 10 to 13 range. So we're going to make a trade. We're going to offer the 6th overall pick, and we're going to throw in, let's just throw in one of our 6th, okay? Just to get a little bit of extra fuel. And we're going to at least start with the Bears. Now, the Bears are probably going to come up and take one of those offensive linemen. We're going to offer 10, and we're going to try to get pick 72 and just see if they take it. We're going to try to grab an additional 3rd round pick, just moving down 3 spots, and we're going to see if they bite on this or not. So the Bears rejected the trade offer. So we're actually going to go to Miami. Miami is going to want to leapfrog these teams, so this is something that I know that they're going to want to do. We're going to offer pick 6. We're going to go down to the Miami Dolphins here. We're going to move down a few spots, but we're going to pick up an additional 3rd and a 4th. So this might not seem like a lot, but we are getting an extra pick in the top 100 and adding an extra 4th round pick to kind of maneuver and see what it is that we can get. The Dolphins accept the trade. Now, Raiders, I want you to grade the pick. Ashton Jeanty goes 12 overall to the Dallas Cowboys. Armand Membow goes 10. Dolphins go and take Kelvin Banks. So the offensive line has essentially been taken. The run is gone like we predicted. Miami Dolphins take Kelvin Banks. The Jets take Will Campbell. Armand Membow goes to the Bears, which is a phenomenal pick, which is probably the tackle I would have gone with if he was available here. Josh Simmons goes at pick 11. And now here we are on the board at pick 13 with our list here. And to be quite honest with you, with the guys that are available right now, I think Will Johnson would probably be the best player on the board if he was healthy. If his injury concerns, and we're here at 13, it's not quite the same at 6, so you might be able to take this risk. I'm going to go with my wide receiver 1 that has been my wide receiver 1 for quite some time now. I have some close people in the YouTube community, Pharaoh NFL. These guys know that, man, Matthew Golden has been my wide receiver 1. I think he feels a need for the Raiders. He obviously has 4.28, 4.3 speed. He offers athleticism. I know he's 5'11". But right here, we're going to address a need for the Raiders, add some speed on the outside, and we're going to take him over Tetairoa McMillan and draft Matthew Golden here at pick 13. Now, LA's calling, and we're not even going to deal with this. Reject. Wait, let's see the next offer real quick. Oh, no. Oh, no. No. These are terrible trades. We're sitting here in the 2nd round, you guys, and we've got some decisions to make. Nick Emmanwori is on the board at safety, someone who I think Pete Carroll would absolutely love. Similar to that Cam Chancellor role. We're going to take a look at who's on the board. Oh, this is an easy home run pick. We already know where we're going to go with this pick, you guys. Offensive line, man, we've really got some good, talented players here. Ozzy Trapilo, if he's here later and it makes sense for us, we're going to go get a guy to give us some tackle flexibility. And especially if he can beat out a guy like Delmar, DJ Glaze, I should say, at the right tackle spot. Ozzy Trapilo is a really sneaky tackle prospect. We're going to target Tate Ratledge if he's on the board. But with who's on the board, you guys, this is a no-brainer. If he's here in the 2nd round and Omarion Hampton is on the board, we're running this to the podium. Omarion Hampton is the pick for the Raiders. We get our franchise running back in the 2nd. He falls into our lap. We're going to minimize these trade offers. And this really frees up a direction that I was going to go later. I had a trade lined up with the Seattle Seahawks to offer a future 3rd. We could have also offered a 4th round pick this year and one of our 6 to go and get Zach Charbonnet, reuniting him with Chip Kelly with UCLA. But because Omarion Hampton fell to us here in the 2nd round, something that I actually don't think is going to happen, I think Omarion is going to be a 1st round running back. But in this situation, he did fall to us, so we were able to land a franchise running back, and this is just a home run pick for the Raiders. Now, we have 2 3rd round picks. And now we have a real conversation to be had. Darian Porter sitting on the board, a guy who would be a great cover 3 type of corner, a guy maybe you could knock down into the nickel. I do have some concerns with his ability in run defense and his ability in a man coverage. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to take a look at. Tate Ratledge is at the board, and to be honest, he's extremely intriguing at this point. Going to the D line, Jared Ivey is on the board, a guy who offers you edge. Could be the replacement for Malcolm Kuntz if he signs a big deal in the offseason. So this right here is pretty tempting in the third. He's valued at 78. Tate Ratledge is valued at 70. We're going to go Tate Ratledge, and we're going to shore up the right guard spot, putting him next to DJ Glaze. And now the Raiders are finally cooking with grease here. We shored up the offensive line and really made it a strength of this team. We got the franchise running back in Omarion Hampton, and we got a desperate need at wide receiver. And now we just really need to see who is falling to us on the board. And Darian Porter fell to our lap, taking the gamble on Tate Ratledge. Darian Porter fulfills a need that the Raiders have. We're sitting here at pick 98. He's 76 on the consensus big board. We're going to take this, and we're really going to solidify and get a body in there to compete for the cornerback spot for the Las Vegas Raiders. And so far, you guys, so good with a lot of good players, a lot of value players here currently on the board. Now we're sitting here in the 4th round. Linebacker Shmuel Munden, defensive backs. Let's see who's here. Denzel Burke, Billy Bowman Jr. is on the board at the safety position. Let's go to defensive line here. And this is where it gets kind of interesting. And this might be a little bit of a reach. But man, do I like Jamari Caldwell as a situational pass rusher along this defensive line group. I really, really like that. Ooh, Olufemi Olanjado. He's still here on the board. And I probably butchered that name, so forgive me, you guys. Will Howard's on the board here in the 4th round. You could get your project quarterback of the future. Kyle McCord is still here. Maybe we can address the quarterback position here in a little bit. Anthony Belton would be a fantastic guard option. There is a LSU Miles Frazier. He's not on the board currently. I'm curious where he's at, but I want you guys to see Bashard Smith goes to the Browns. That's a solid pick. I guarantee you Miles Frazier fell into the 3rd, and this is a guard option that if we can't get Tate Ratledge, let's see where he fell to, you guys. Miles Frazier went to the Saints. This is a guy you got to keep an eye on, you guys, especially if we're able to pick him up in the 3rd round. Miles Frazier is a really good guard, inside zone, duo. This is an area where I feel like we could really go to help address the offensive line if we do miss out on some of these bigger name offensive line prospects. Let's go to the wide receiver room again. We do still have a need there. Maybe not as big as linebacker, but Shmuel Munden has athletic upside, but I just don't know if I want to take him here at pick 108. Wide receiver Jaden Higgins is on the board. To be quite honest with you guys, I almost have to run this one in. I almost have to run this pick in. The value's too good. His ability to be an outside wide receiver while you can kind of move Matthew Golden in and out. The flexibility that all 3 of these receivers between Jacoby Myers, Jaden Higgins, and Matthew Golden with Trey Tucker, we've really done a really good job at adding some talent, young talent to this wide receiver room. And clearly the Raiders are heavy in on this wide receiver class. We're going to go Jaden Higgins here. Which is going to take a player off the board for us. Kyle Williams is a guy that if he's there late, we might still take him. He has the best release package in the draft, a guy that I'm really, really high on. But Jaden Higgins is here in the 4th round, and I just think it's too good to pass up. So we're going to take Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Arizona State. And now the Raiders are really looking at a solid draft so far. We were able to help this offense significantly. Maybe we can go and address this defensive back room. Denzel Burke is on the board. Maybe you get a guy who's used to big-time competition. Let's go to the linebacker. Shmuel Munden is now here. Kobe King is here. Cody Simon. I might take Cody Simon here. I know he's at 129. But man, when I was watching Tyleek, defensive tackle out of Ohio State, Cody Simon just popped off the film. And this is going to be a guy that I really encourage you guys to go and look. and to go watch, because Cody Simon is just, he's a do-it-all. He's underrated. He's disruptive in the running game. He's underutilized. He's underrated, honestly, as a pass coverage linebacker. And Cody Simon is a guy, man, I would really like to see the Raiders be able to target. I know Smail Munnon has maybe a higher athletic upside, but I just think as far as history playing the linebacker position, Cody Simon's going to be my pick here. And I'm going to go to the linebacker well here in the 4th round. So we've really addressed, you guys, if we look at the totality of the draft, we've addressed a lot of the Raiders' needs. You could make the argument, man, I really wish we would have addressed a better corner on the board. But with the value that we got here in the 3rd with Tate Ratledge, he was too good to pass up. We got the franchise running back. We got Matthew Golden, a really, really good wide receiver option who offers you versatility to take the top off of defenses. And then we got that really physical Jaden Higgins as a guy that if you don't extend Jakobi Meyers, he gives you that flexibility to give you a bigger body outside wide receiver who's really good in the run game. And maybe you can move on from a guy like Jakobi Meyers, even though I really don't want to. But this gives you a guy who's very similar in a lot of things that he's able to do. And then Cody Simon, if anything, he can offer you a special teams ace here at the linebacker spot, but I think he's contributing and he's competing for a starting role with the Raiders in that linebacker room. To pair next to a Landon Roberts, I think that would be a really good dynamic duo without having to take a linebacker early. He just gives you a little bit of depth that we just don't currently have right now. So we're sitting now in the 5th. Ty Robinson is on the board. He'd be a good depth piece. CJ West and Vernon Broughton right here. And these might be where we go, you guys, depending on who's on the board. CJ West is just a remarkable, underrated, high motor defensive tackle out of Indiana, a guy who I got to watch a lot, and he just jumps off of the film, you guys. CJ West here in the 5th at 143 overall is just phenomenal value. Vernon Broughton is a guy who has remarkable hands, and he reminds me a lot of Adam Butler. He gives you a lot of upside as far as a pass rusher on the interior, and a guy that with valued at 185 and 186, you really can't go wrong here. I think CJ West's motor, his ability to be a constant run defender and be underrated as far as a pass rusher, he might be my pick here. We're going to look at the defensive backs. Jacob Parrish is a guy that you might take a look at here. Malachi Moore offers you that Trayvon Merrick role, and he might actually be a better value, and we might take a risk here, taking Malachi Moore to maybe be that coverage safety on the back end and allow Jeremy Chin and Isaiah Palomalu to be those tone setters and to come down into the nickel, which I think that might be the direction that we actually go, you guys. Kobe King is on the board. Take a look at the running backs. That still really hasn't changed that much. And with Omarion Hampton being a franchise back, we're really looking for a lightning role. Let's look at the offensive line. Emory Jones is here. This would be a really good option is to give you kind of like depth at your tackle. Maybe a guy behind DJ Glaze. I wouldn't mind this, to be honest with you. I really would want to take a guy like this sitting at 143, but I want to make a strength a strength. I think the value is too good. We're gonna take a risk here, guys. We're gonna do it. We're gonna take Malachi Moore. We're gonna shore up. We're gonna go back to Alabama here, and we're gonna solidify the back end of this defense. We grabbed a safety, we grabbed a corner, we grabbed a linebacker. We added some youth to the defensive side of the football, you guys, and we're gonna hope that one of those edge. And we took a risk, and it paid off, you guys. CJ West fell into our lap here. Where are we at here as far as picks? 6th round, 185 big board. We're at pick 180. I'm sprinting in. We're getting CJ West here, and this is a remarkable value for the Raiders. This might be one of the more underrated picks in this entire draft as far as value. You're getting a remarkable interior presence, a guy who's really going to help solidify and create a really solid, dominant rotation at that defensive tackle spot. So I'm excited about that pick, you guys. We're sitting here on the board in the 6th round still. Let's see who's on the board. All the quarterbacks have gone. We missed out on the project quarterback this year, which is okay given the type of depth that we were able to land. We have 2 6th-round picks and a 7th here. So right now, guys, with these extra 6th-round picks, there's an argument to be made that we can make a trade around the league. And now that I'm kind of thinking about it, just looking at what's available here, Jarquez Hunter is here on the board. He's kind of an underrated prospect out of Auburn, was really the bell cow focus for Auburn. Woody Marks is a guy that I was high on earlier in the process. Obviously, he got pushed way down the boards here, but he offers you a little bit of that lightning role. Taj Brooks is a guy I really like. Kyle Monungai, I really like. But we could probably get one of these guys here in the 7th based off of how this board has fallen. Corey Kiner, another contact balance guy. Maybe shorter in nature, but man, can he really create contact and looks for physicality. I like Corey Kiner here. So we're going to address that last running back position. There's not a home run lightning rod type of guy. Woody Marks is intriguing here as a receiving option that we might do. So let's just take Woody Marks here and let's just see if we can maybe operate a trade here later in the draft. Woody Marks here in the 6th. I do want to call New England. If you guys remember, we did miss out on Christian Ellis, linebacker from the New England Patriots. And I just want to see if this would be possible with our final 2 picks to add some depth to that linebacker room since we were only able to go grab Cody Simon. And we are going to get a hold of, we're going to offer a 6th-round pick and just see if they take it. We're going to call New England. And Christian Ellis has actually signed that 2-year, $13.5 million linebacker deal. Maybe the Patriots have the mindset that they went out and signed 2 other linebackers opposed from him. And maybe they feel like, hey, the Raiders really wanted him. Maybe we could get a late round draft pick out of him. And the contract is already in place. They do have 3 7th-round picks, so I don't know how they're going to value a 6th. But we're going to find Ellis down here. If he's here, let's see, you guys. I'm not currently seeing him here. Caleb on Chase on. There he is, Christian Ellis. So the interest is not there. They're going to want more than a 6th-round pick for Christian Ellis. I wonder if we were to throw in an extra. We just don't have it, you guys. We just don't have that ammo. I wonder if we could offer Zamir White in this trade. A guy who was taken by Josh McDaniels, if I'm not mistaken. A just offer. We're going to offer a 6. We're going to go down here. Zamir White. So this, you guys, looks like they're going to accept it. And we're going to add a linebacker, even though we replaced these guys. So a late round swap in the draft. We're going to give up our 6th-round pick, 215 overall, and running back Zamir White. We're going to inherit the Christian Ellis contract, and we're going to add to that linebacker room. So now we have a Landon Roberts, Christian Ellis, and Cody Simon. We really injected some youth into that room and added to it. That trade's going to go through and accepted. I really like the value of this trade, you guys, and what we were able to do late in the draft. We are sitting here in the 7th round with a few options on the board. Let's see here. So we have Omarion Hampton. I'm feeling a little bit. We did take Woody Marks, though. So, man, that kind of deflates where I want to go with this last pick. Let's just take a look on the board, you guys. It's a 7th-round pick. We don't really need to get kind of too crazy with this. Who's available to us? No quarterback. No running back that I'm really wanting right now. Theo Weiss Jr. is a guy that I'm really high on. We did address kind of like that big physical presence, but we do need some bodies at the wide receiver spot. If he's available there in the 7th, I would probably run that pick in. Karen Reed is a linebacker with high special teams upside. Another guy who would be a special teams ace, but we did just make a trade for a linebacker, so I'm not going to do that. And defensive line, I really don't see. Ooh, but we did get CJ West. We did get CJ West, you guys. I would take Ty Hamilton if we didn't go get CJ West. Ty Hamilton is great value here as another run defender. And I might just even take it. It's between him or Theo Weiss. I'm going to add to the wide receiver room. Wide receiver room is a need. Theo Weiss is extremely he was this guy that played that duo role with Luther Burden, a guy who was just kind of weeded out of the offense. They were doing some weird stuff with Missouri out there. Theo Weiss is a guy who I think is going to be a better pro than what he was college player. High athletic upside, has a ton of ability, physical presence, good route runner, just a really underrated, underutilized prospect that I'm really high on. So I'm going to take a risk on him here in the 7th round. And that should solidify our draft, you guys. We're going to take a look at how he did, kind of get a review. Again, we didn't address everything, but I really do feel like we were able to address a lot of the issues that the Raiders had. We go and get a true number one option behind Brock Bowers and Jakobi Meyers. You plug in Matthew Golden, who has 4.2, 4.3 speed. This guy's going to really play a role that he doesn't have to step in and be wide receiver one. But I just think he's going to take full advantage of every opportunity he's given. We're going to go Omarion Hampton, franchise running back, here in the second that fell into our lap. I don't think he's going to be here in real life. I think he's going in the first round. At least I would take him in the first round. But in this simulation, he did fall into our lap, so we had to run that card in. It was a no-brainer. Omarion Hampton in the second. We grabbed Tate Ratledge to solidify that guard spot next to DJ Glaze and center JPJ, given this right side of this offensive line really a solid foundation moving forward into the future. In the 3rd round at pick 98, we were able to address the cornerback spot. Darian Porter, a guy who fits that Seattle cover 3 type of scheme, something that we might see a little bit more of this year if we do. If we see the similar Patrick Graham, this might have actually been a pretty bad pick. I'm not going to lie to you. If we still see a lot of man coverage and we don't see more zone out of the Patrick Graham defense this year, I might have gone a different direction, guys. I'm just being completely honest with you. I will hold myself to criticism here. But if we do see some more zone coverage, cornerback position was a need. He is an older prospect. I think he's 24, 25 years old. But, man, he's just savvy. And at pick 98, you kind of can't get much better with this, with Maxwell Harrison coming off the board. So Darian Porter was one of those picks. If you guys want to critique it, feel free to do so. Jaden Higgins was just a value here. I don't see him falling to the 4th round in any world. But again, the value is too good here. So we just went ahead and got Jaden Higgins, a guy who could probably replace Jakobi Meyers in the future. Again, in the 4th round, we addressed the linebacker because we didn't know if we were going to be able to make a trade later in the draft. That was just spur of the moment. But Cody Simon is a guy who can come in and compete. And at any point, Landon Roberts leaves next year, Cody Simon fills on in next to Christian Ellis that we traded for with the Patriots, picking up that contract that they just extended him to. And we got Cody Simon here. Obviously, in that exercise, you guys, the trade with the Patriots was the fact that they were able to get a draft pick for Christian Ellis, a guy that maybe not have intended on keeping for long term, but the Raiders were able to trade assets in order to take on that contract. So it just kind of made sense for me. Malachi Moore replaces that Trayvon Merrick role, allows guys like Jeremy Chin, Isaiah Palomalo to play physical on the back end. CJ West, just remarkable value here. If you're able to get this, if you're the Raiders late in the draft, this just only makes a strength, even stronger strength for the Raiders defensive line. And I love this. Woody Marks, 3rd down receiving option, gives you some versatility to be, that Raheem Mostert competition, just adds another body. We did trade away Zamir White in this experiment. And then Theo Weiss, he just gives you another athletic presence on the outside while you move Brock Bowers around, you move Matthew Golden around, Trey Tucker, all these versatile pieces that we were able to get. Theo Weiss would be able to be a physical presence on that outside or even be a big physical athletic slot for you. So that sums up with our draft with the Las Vegas Raiders. We were able to solidify some key cornerstone pieces, you guys, and I think that overall we did a good job. Raider Nation, grade my draft below. If this is your first time here, thank you guys for tuning into the channel. Subscribe. Make sure you smash the like button if you like this draft. If you didn't like this draft, smash it with the like button and leave a comment down below if we left some meat on the bone at some positions. If you didn't like our late round trade for Christian Ellis, let me know if you think that's just unrealistic. But I do encourage you guys to go and look at the reason why I made that trade and the crowdedness in that linebacker room for the Patriots. They were able to at least get a draft pick for him, which is why I went ahead with that trade. Raider Nation, I appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys know how we end it here. As always, just win, baby.